let's get into the Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
This is the Flippy update. Oh no, I'm supposed to do a whole thing with it. It's Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use Flippy to discuss... we've been talking about Flippy since 2016, 17, somewhere around there when they first started. We use Flippy to discuss how the robots are taking over everything, and now there's nothing we can do about it until Jesus returns. And today, we're going to go to space.com. We're going to space. And the article is titled, Nanoracks tests tech to slice up space junk in orbit for first time. Now, okay, Nanoracks. Sounds good. A robotic arm softened up metal in space in an aim to address the growing space debris problem. Debris problem up there, almost as if there's some kind of wall or barrier. A historic experiment eroded metal for the first time in space. The SpaceX rideshare flight recently hosted a robot that softened up metal through friction, demonstrating a technique that can one day be used against rogue space debris or alien spacecraft. With tens of thousands of pieces floating around in orbit and more satellites launched into low Earth orbit by the day, the U.S. government and private companies alike are seeking more solutions to protect the zone from cluttering up too much for space exploration. NASA, Congress, and the Federal Communications Commission have all released new frameworks addressing space debris in the recent weeks. The technique demonstrated on the Transporter 5 mission earlier this year is called friction milling, quote, which uses a cutting tool operating at high rotations per minute to soften the metal. Experiment host Nanoracks wrote in a recent statement, and then parenthetical, the robotic arm and samples were completely sealed up in this experiment as a further precaution against generating new space debris. Which I thought was interesting to include in there, the mention of the robot arm, so we know what it looks like, but also this kind of woke thing where they're like, oh, don't worry, we weren't creating more space debris. Obviously, we took precautions against such absurd notions. Nanoracks, which hosts U.S. experiments aboard the International Space Station, is aiming to develop a series of outpost stations that would host payloads aboard expired rocket stages in the near future, but this first demonstration took place aboard a rideshare rocket. I guess there's a little video that shows some of this in action. It's not really that interesting, to be honest. I did check it out, but yeah, not much there. There's still more to learn for future outpost missions, emphasized the participating entities, which included Nanoracks, Voyager, and Maxar, which provided the robotic arm. The mission met its goal in cutting up a single coupon or sample of corrosion-resistant steel similar to what is found on the outside of the United Launch Alliance Vulcan Centaur rocket. But the robot didn't make it to 2 extra coupons available as a reach goal. So, yeah, they didn't quite reach their goal, but hey, the robot arm with a mill at the end, which is, again, I'm not trying to, say anything, any kind of true connection there, but I just find it interesting. Friction milling. You look up sort of the mill, and you talk about in the book of Revelation, it talks a few times about the millstone. Let me just look it up just to have it, the exact passage here. Yeah, Revelation 18:21, which in the ESV, then a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and threw it into the sea, saying, so will Babylon the great city be thrown down with violence and will be found no more. So, yeah, I'm sure it's just a coincidence that they have a robotic arm in space that does milling to scrap up metal or something in space, I guess. And we there was some other people that were messaging us about the story we covered in the last Flippy update, which was, of course, the plant-brained machete-wielding robot arm, which I have a video showing here that's a little bit more terrifying than what we did cover the machete arm robot, but I don't think we showed video of it in the last episode, at least for the viewers. And it looks ridiculous. But in any case, if you consider that, we talked about the cherubim guarding the garden, with the flashing sword, that kind of thing. And then, consider the fact that Science Daily, this is a few months ago, reported KIT research use CRISPR-Cas to suppress chromosomes and prevent genetic change. And in this study, basically, they did some gene editing on some plants, and they just CRISPR, Cas9 genetic engineering on some plants. But of course, you connect the plant to a robotic arm. It's got the ability to wield a machete. You give it some kind of drill, it can go out into space and knock out some debris. And, this thing is just coming alive. It's all coming together. Anyway, just kind of some fun there. But in general, this type of thing, we're seeing more and more of the robot arm being applied in these frontier places, whether it be genetics or space. And that's why we've been covering Flippy for so long. It's sort of a natural part of the robotic rise, and it's a good indicator as to where we're headed, and already where we've been. We've seen the unfolding for quite some time now, and it's only going to continue to grow, especially as so many people are just work from home now, work remote. Nobody's in the factories. What are we going to do? How are we going to continue to produce products? Well, you can just buy an army of robot arms. And so the more applications, the higher the ceiling of application of the robotic arm, the more ubiquitous it'll become for the general masses, the public at large. They can, if it's shredding metal up in space, surely it can, carve out some aluminum for cars and stuff, which they already do and stuff. So in any case, there you go. There's our Flippy update for today.